This episode of the Dan Batard Show with Stu Gatz is presented by Venmo.
Before we get to Jake Tapper here, who is elbowing Bradley Cooper, trying to become the #1 Eagles fan there is nationally, and Bradley Cooper will not allow him to do it. I just want to give you this stat from the Associated Press. Patrick Mahomes has trailed in the fourth quarter in 9 playoff games. He's come back to win 6 of them and forced overtime in 2 others before losing. He has a 132.2 rating with 5 TD passes and 1 touchdown run when down 1 to 8 points in the fourth quarter or overtime of a playoff game, leading scores on 13 of 14 drives. One of those overtimes he got to, he never got the ball. He never. So what you're talking about there doesn't have a precedent for 17 straight one-score games that they've won. The ability to win close games, I don't think usually is an ability, but it's hard to argue against some of this math.
And if he got the ball first in that game, they would have won. I mean.
So Jake Tapper is with us, and that's the task ahead. He's the chief Washington correspondent for CNN. He's the host of The Lead. It's moving to a new time slot, weekdays from 5 to 7 Eastern, as CNN rolls out some changes here during the second Trump administration. We've got a handful of questions for you. Thank you for joining us. You were on the Jumbotron yesterday. How was that yesterday, seeing your team beat everyone to death with Saquon's thighs?
It was very exciting. I loved it. There it is. That's me doing my own press. I took a picture of myself and then hit the QR code and then got it up there on the Jumbotron and then took a picture of it and tweeted it. Yes.
Yes.
But let me tell you something. That is not a rivalry with Bradley Cooper. Bradley Cooper's there with Gigi Hadid in the owner's box. That is not me. That is not me.
You are the bronze medalist behind Cooper and Kevin Hart. Are you on the medal stand? No.
Mike Trout. I mean,
no. I think he's the undisputed champion of Philly fandom. He does the hype reels and stuff. I'm just excited to be watching the game, and that it was such an exciting game. And we were only up by 2. At one point, we were only by 2 points, and everybody in Philadelphia is like me. We're all like, oh, my God, we're going to blow it. Oh, my God, we're going to blow it. And then the opposite happened. We destroyed. Well,
how does this work with your Washington friends? You're the chief Washington correspondent for CNN. Do you have some texts that you can read me from what it is that you were doing in terms of burying your political friends who care about the Commanders?
I have some very good friends who are Commanders fans all the way back to when they had a different name. And they were telling me how much their boys were going to spank the Eagles, which is, obviously not so much. By the end, honestly, I don't want to be gloating. I can gloat a little, right? So first of all, that dance in the end zone by Daniels, when he got them to like only 13 points behind, was weird. Mm-hmm. Second of all that stuff in when the offsides after offsides after offsides was weird. But then also by the end of it, it was like a basketball score. 55-23.
And there were fights all over the field too because of the way your team
played. Because of them. We were very well behaved. Did we have any unsportsmanlike conduct or unnecessary roughness plays called against the Eagles?
Jake, are you talking? I mean,
I'm just laying out facts, as Harry Truman once said, right. President Truman. I'm just telling the truth if they can. But I'm serious. Like they were the Commanders had a great run. They should be very happy. Obviously, Dan Snyder was the problem the whole time. And they have a really good team, and I was absolutely nervous about them because of all the momentum and all the talent. And I remain a huge fan of Zach Ertz. I think most Philadelphia people just love him and wish he were still on the team. But, the game was what it was. It was very exciting.
You are talking. It's clear. Will you go into work today and just heckle Bills fan Wolf Blitzer?
Oh, no, that's so sad. And I do feel bad for the Bills. One of my best friends, not including my best friend Wolf Blitzer, is a Buffalo fan. First of all, can I say something? That is such a sweet picture. I read in the New York Post people were hazing him for having like that old school TV setup. Why is that something to haze? That's lovely. He's a a lovely gentleman enjoying a game. He doesn't need a jumbotron in his debt rec room.
I mean, there's
Anyway,
a VCR there. I mean, VCR.
I think that's a reel to reel.
Jake,
Yeah.
when he showed up in Mission Impossible Fallout and he revealed that he wasn't actually
Right.
Blitzer,
Spoiler alert.
is that the greatest face reveal in franchise history?
I was not expecting it. Every now and then when I'm near him, I look at him to make sure it's really him and not Simon Pegg. I will say that Wolf reminds folks that he's done cameos in the most successful Mission Impossible movie and the most successful James Bond movie in the histories of those two franchises. And he leaves it up to the listener to suggest that he's the special sauce. He does remind people of that. And I don't have any facts to dispute that.
Jake, it is really quaint, naive almost, that you would see that entertainment center and say, of the internet, why weren't they nice to him there?
That's a good point.
Why
They're
are
not nice about anything.
On X, they weren't nice to
what
Wolf
do you
Blitzer.
mean? What part are you not understanding?
I know. It's just like he's
About
just
the
such
internet.
a sweet guy. He's from Buffalo. He's rooting for his home team. It's like what? He should spend $1 billion on some. I mean, it's. I guarantee you, it's just him watching the game.
He got
right? So
he got the result he deserved for that entertainment center yesterday.
that's so harsh. Although I have to say, I'd rather play Kansas City because I think the boys are going to be much more motivated to beat Kansas City. And Buffalo, you got to feel something for them. Like they're a great team, and they've just been cheated out of a bowl time after time. And they did have some momentum too. So I'm not unhappy that we're playing the Chiefs, even though
You prefer the Chiefs? Is that what
yes,
you just
because
said?
I think because it will be. I think that will motivate Jalen Hurts and the guys to more so than if it were Buffalo, which is another scrappy, gritty team.
Jake,
not of pretty
Jake,
boys.
Jake, it's the
I know.
Super Bowl.
He's motivated.
They're motivated.
Well, I mean, I don't know that they were so much 2 years ago.
You
in the
can't.
second
You
half.
can't.
They almost won it. I
You
mean-
can't want the Chiefs, Jake. What? I mean, nobody
But
wants
we're
the
gonna-
Chiefs.
Nobody wants the Chiefs. Well, I think the odds that we beat the Chiefs are stronger because of the emotional factor of what happened a couple years ago in Arizona. I do.
Wow.
That's just me. Maybe I'm wrong, but look, I'm obviously afraid of them. They're a great team. Mahomes is a monster. I'm not doing a victory lap. I mean, I think that obviously the Chiefs are favored, but I think
Keep an eye on that line.
I'm just saying it's just a.
It's up to 3.
Well, you think it's going to change? I think the Chiefs are
It's
favored
changed
by-
already. It started at 1.5. It's up to 2.5. I mean,
Oh, you think it's going to keep going like that? Good.
yeah.
Good.
Yeah.
Have you
Let's just
considered
make the
they
victory all the sweeter?
have a deal with the devil? That obviously has to factor in, right?
That Patrick Mahomes has a deal with the devil?
I think the whole team probably.
It was the deal that Brady had with the devil. They transferred it over. It was a complicated transaction.
Yes.
I mean, as opposed to a deal with the refs? I mean, either way.
Wow, he's talking.
Either way, it's going to be a game. I'm very excited. And, my wife is actually a Kansas City fan, so that makes it a little bit more difficult.
Wow.
I'm going to have to go to the game just so I don't have to listen to her cheering for Kansas City.
House divided.
How does that one
It
go?
is.
How will that go over? How does that one work?
It's not very well. It's not very happy. It's not a very happy
For you.
situation. It wasn't a happy situation for me 2 years ago. That's correct. I don't know. It will, and the kids, the daughter will just go with whoever wins. The son is an Eagles fan, so we'll see.
But how does that go that evening though? That you're
It's not fun. It's not enjoyable. Like you're sitting there with your wife and your wife is rooting for the devil. That's not fun. That's not an enjoyable thing. Like why? Like your wife is sitting there rooting for the bad guys. Like literally, that's like why. I mean, I don't want to say it's like watching a war documentary and she's rooting for
The
bad
alternative
guys,
is
but it's
Philadelphia.
Yeah, but I understand that this would be complicated, and I don't mean to suggest that perhaps house divided like Stugatz is, but that's as unhappy as you could be with your wife in a social setting of any kind, is it not?
It's not enjoyable. It was not enjoyable 2 years ago, and like I said, I'm trying to get Super Bowl tickets so I can take my son to the game, and I don't have to deal with it this year. That's correct. I don't want to have to deal with it.
Okay.
She's from. I mean, she's literally from St. Joe, Missouri, which is right outside Kansas City. She is actually a fan. it's not just because of Taylor Swift. She's legitimately a fan. And by the way, I don't begrudge all the girls out there cheering for Kansas City because of Taylor Swift. Good, happy, whatever.
I imagine that Bradley Cooper. I imagine Bradley is not searching for Super Bowl tickets. They just showed up in his inbox this morning. I mean,
he's probably already there. Yeah. He's probably already in New Orleans.
Do you think Bradley uses the QR code, the photo, to get on the
I think Lurie just hops a ride on the Cooper jet down to New Orleans. I think that's how it works.
You won't have any trouble getting tickets, will you?
I don't know. We'll have to see. Anybody listening out there that wants to help hook a brother up, that's fine. I mean, I went on to StubHub. It's not like, I don't know what kind of life you think I lead here, but it's not like people are like throwing tickets at me. But I'll get some, I think.
You should try Game Time. They have all-in pricing. You can look to see where the seats are located and everything.
Game Time better than StubHub?
Yeah.
Oh, way better.
Oh, yeah.
Let me tell you something.
Stupid question.
Use the promo code Dan with your first purchase.
Yep.
Get 20.
Is that a real thing? I don't know if you guys.
Yeah.
Promo code Dan, real thing.
It's a real thing.
I'm gonna end up at like a women's flag football game or something.
No, but you can. There's really no.
By the way,
What's wrong with women's flag football?
No, it's great.
Here he comes.
Hold on, backtracking.
Don't backtrack. Don't backtrack. You didn't want to go to a women's flag football
I want to
game.
root for women's flag football. I just don't mean in 2 weeks. I don't want to go there. That's all.
Panoramic sea views of that too.
Let me ask you a couple of Philadelphia questions. Better Philadelphia Barkley, Charles or Saquon?
Oh wow, that's really tough.
Yep.
I really have to pick? I mean, right now my affection is with Saquon Barkley. He is unbelievable.
Right.
I mean, I love Charles Barkley. I mean, he's fantastic. I can't really choose because I remember cutting high school, going to the local Wendy's, and there was the round mound his first year in line behind me to get a Frosty. And so he's just the GOAT in Philly. Although he did leave at one point. He did,
but he didn't win. So if Saquon wins a Super Bowl here, he is the most famous Barkley in Philadelphia sports history, right?
You're trying to get I'm not gonna choose between Barkleys, but I will tell you that Saquon is unbelievable. And if my wife were pregnant with my son right now, Saquon would be a contender for the name
Saquon Tapper.
Yeah, that would be. And you can't help. It doesn't roll off the tongue. You're saying your laughter seems to suggest it doesn't roll. He's so good, and his attitude is so amazing. Let the young guys eat. I mean, just all this stuff, and he's such a joy, and he doesn't take the bait from folks like the Commanders, trying to pick fights. He's lovely. He's a lovely gentleman. Right now, Saquon. I mean, right this minute.
This isn't how you play the game. It's not. You're playing it incorrectly.
I said right this minute, Saquon. I don't. I actually have met Charles Barkley. I don't want him to be upset.
All right.
Well done.
Sirianni, you like obviously better than Andy Reid, correct?
I do, and I don't understand the Sirianni hate. Like Simmons saying, like he was 3 games away from like doing a podcast and all that. Like I don't really get it. He's led us to like I really don't. I understand. I have frustrations like any other Philadelphia fan of like plays and stuff like that. But like this is the second Super Bowl in 3 years that he's led it. Did I have my math right? He's great.
Is he the best coach in Eagles history?
I mean, Peterson led us to a victory. So as of right now, he's no. But if he wins us to a victory, sure. Then yes, that will seal his fate.
Rings in a box. Yep.
Wait, Doug Peterson's the greatest coach in Eagles history?
Yeah, he won one.
He won one. He won the only one we've won. I mean, what am I supposed to say? Dick Vermeil, just because?
No, you picked correctly. Yeah, you're right. Yeah.
I want to ask you a question we came in here asking today, which is, and this was something that surprised me over the last 24 hours because Jason Kelce hasn't played a football game in the last 24 hours, but his value and his greatness to the Eagles by my crew has been diminished over the last 24 hours because he's a really famous center who has gotten more rewards than any center has ever gotten from being a center, and he left and they're better.
I mean, what's the question?
Is he overrated?
Jason Kelce, overrated.
No, he's not overrated. He's not overrated. But I think Howie Roseman did it. He built a great team and like he found holes and filled them. I mean, you can't. I mean, everybody loves Nick Foles in Philadelphia, and it was so great to see him at the game yesterday. But that doesn't mean that Jalen Hurts is overrated just because Nick Foles led us to a Super Bowl and he didn't. I don't see it that way. Roseman's doing a really good job.
Should Cam Jurgens get the late night talk show instead of Jason Kelsey? Should it be Jurgens tonight?
Yes, sponsored by Jurgens.
You mentioned Nick Foles. Is he the greatest quarterback in Eagles history? And do you believe Tom Brady when he says that he likes Nick Foles?
I believe Tom Brady when he says he's jealous of Nick Foles. I believe because he caught it and Brady didn't. What's not to like about Nick Foles? He's like a lovely gentleman, and he had his he's just unbelievable backup quarterback, led the team to a Super Bowl, and then more or less retired. I don't really think much about Tom Brady, to be completely honest. And I still don't understand why they made him an announcer.
Well, I'm going to make you think about him more. Do you find the Patriots dynasty more or less annoying than the now Chiefs dynasty?
Oh, that's a really good question.
Thank you.
I hate the Chiefs right now. I think all of my childhood hatreds of, the Cowboys, and then my, more recent hatreds of the Patriots, they're so old, they're so outdated. I need to establish a new hatred of the Chiefs. I think that's the only fair thing to do. Like, why? My brother-in-law's a Dallas fan. He lives right in Frisco. I can't hate them anymore. Who cares? They're so bad.
Wow.
Tom Brady, as an announcer, you really sideswiped him there. Do you have some strong opinions?
I said I don't. What is it? $500 billion for 2 years? Whatever it is.
That's exactly what it is. It's $500 billion for 2 games.
For 2 minutes?
Yes.
$500 billion for 2 minutes. It just seems excessive to me. It seems excessive. His stories seem a little self-referential. I'm just saying. They just seem a little bit like, I get it's Tom Brady, okay. So it's a new gig. It's about other people now.
Someone threw out a theory that people would like him more if he just became really fat. Do you agree with that?
I don't know. I just don't like him.
You laugh, though.
Again.
Well, it's a funny theory. I think, would I dislike him less? Maybe I would. If I felt like he was just a chili dog away from a heart attack, sure, I guess. But
it helps anyway.
He's the chief Washington correspondent for CNN. He's hosting.
We're talking about football.
That
This is not
correct.
how I talk.
That's right.
I don't cover this.
I
did interview Mahomes after he beat the Eagles 2 years ago, and it was very professional, just so you know. And I did ask about that one call, that questionable call. But in any case, it was a very I just want you to know I was able to put it away.
Why is there always just that one call with Patrick Mahomes, Jake? Like every game, it's just that one call. Every game it seems like.
You're going to have to ask the guys who get the direct deposit. It's not me.
Whoa!
I don't actually think
Professional journalist
Uncover
Jake
the
Tapper
cover.
has
Should
accused.
have done sports.
I don't actually think that they're on the take.
Whoa!
It's just a joke.
Hold on a second.
It's a comedy show, Dan.
I want to do some
We're
recap
talking about football.
here.
I was just joking. I did say on air that the Patriots are cheaters, and that I stand by. When I said it in 2017,
That's factual.
You also said you'd like Tom Brady more if he were fat, or a chili dog, to quote you directly, a chili dog away from a heart attack.
And you hate women's flag football.
I said, to be precise, I said I might dislike him less. I don't.
Okay.
It's not the same thing
You
as
said
saying
you
I like
hated
him
the
more.
Chiefs. You did say you hate the Chiefs.
I said I need to develop a hatred of the Chiefs.
Okay, and
That's what I
you
think.
said you were against women's flag football.
I heard it.
This is typical legacy media. It's just, I understand what Trump's talking about now for the first time ever. You're just putting words in my mouth. Not at all what I said. Not at all what I said.
You really backtracked though. Hey, you really caught yourself. You got a little loose with the sports guys, and you're like some women's flag football game, and they're like, not that I have anything against
I
women's
wanted to
flag
make
football.
sure that you weren't sending me to a game I didn't.
I'm strong, Jake.
Anyway.
Can you tell us what it is that you make? And this is a broad question. He's the host of The Lead, and it's got a new time slot, 5 to 7 Eastern. CNN is rolling out some changes here for the second Trump administration. The state of America right now, what dismays you the most and what makes you the most hopeful?
What dismays me is I feel like political divisions have gotten so intense that people on other sides of the aisle cannot see the humanity in Democrats or Republicans, liberals or conservatives, whatever. And it's very distressing. And people always see the worst. They always make the worst possible interpretation of what the other side's doing. And it's distressing because I don't think it's rooted in reality, although I do think it is rooted in kind of like this complex of division that has emerged in social media and other forms of media of just creating division and demonizing. So that is distressing. What makes me hopeful is I think most Americans are not that deep down and are not that in their hearts. And I don't think it will be that difficult to rectify, but I do think it needs rectifying.
Let's play for Jake the sound of Philadelphia icon Sylvester Stallone talking about his 6-ounce gloves and a time when people should have had to carry suitcases through an airport, a better time in America.
They don't even allow these today. They don't even allow these today because they're so dangerous. But that's what they used when I did the film. They're barely 6 ounces. They're Reyes, and they're literally lethal. So I still have them because it's a time when people were tougher. Sorry, they were. Life is just getting a little easier and easier and easier. And, oh, that's great. It's wonderful, but it's not. I think when we force ourselves into tough situations, that's what the human creature is supposed to do. They're not supposed to have wheels on their suitcases. They're not supposed to have lawnmowers with engines that pull them along. It's a convenience, no question, but it just makes things easier. Now with AI, you can literally put your brain in a pickle jar and have that machine do it. So I cherish these moments. I cherish hard work, even though I hate it. I know it's like strong medicine. It tastes horrible going down, but it makes you feel better.
What are your thoughts there, Jake?
Wow, that's a lot. I'll just remind people he's not actually from Philadelphia. He's from New York. And the character Rocky is from Philadelphia. And I love Rocky. I'll just keep it positive.
Your wiki page says you're born in New York too, though.
I was born in New York. I moved when I was 3 months old. Okay. 3 months old.
Wow, Jessica.
Big cat situation.
You're really attacking.
You really got me.
Yes.
That's
Yeah.
a gotcha. Again with the legacy media and the gotchas.
Yeah.
The gotchas again.
Jake.
This is
Good seeing you.
Good to see you.
Look at him. We've enraged
Supposed to be a
him.
happy day for him.
It is supposed
I'll see you
to
in
be.
2 weeks.
All right.
I'll see you in 2 weeks.
All right. We will talk to you then. Nice seeing you.
What's it called again? The ticket, the thingy, the ticket thing.
Game time.
Game time. Go Dan. Go Dan.
Game time.
Go Dan.
All right.
Thank
Thanks,
you.
guys.
All right.
Thank you. It can't be that hard for him to get Super Bowl tickets, right?
It should be easy for him.
No,
yes.
I don't know if it's easy. I don't know if the Super
I
Bowl
mean-
ticket is ever easy.
It is with game time.
Fair enough. The cold that has swept through Florida, I mentioned this yesterday. I don't understand how it is that Pensacola in one day got more snow than Juneau, Alaska got in the month of January. It doesn't make a lot of sense to me. Jessica, have you experienced yet the freezing iguanas? Have you seen that?
I haven't seen one yet, but I explained this to people. One of my friends was in town this weekend, and I was explaining to her that when it gets below 40, the iguanas like seize, and then they fall out of trees. And what?
I'm talking to him.
Sorry.
I was like, what was I not supposed to say that? And then we were driving around and we saw an iguana scurrying across the road right when it got warm on Saturday. And I was like, maybe this one just woke up and was like, whoa, what the hell happened last night? Like, you think the iguanas that, like, when they unthaw, they're like, where am I?
It's got to be bizarre. Like those alligators that get frozen in the ice.
It's like waking up from like a blackout drunk night and you're just like, how did I end up in the street?
It has to be confusing, right? You're an animal who shouldn't be in South Florida. You are an animal that cannot deal with the cold. You appear to be dead when it is that you are cold in order to protect your bloodstream. And then Pat Riley is burying you in the backyard, and you are indeed dead, because then you can't climb out of there. And you're not like, holy shit. You never wake and are like, holy shit, I don't know what happened last night. You're just dead. Something that Dan Quinn, did you guys notice this yesterday? Because as you know, I don't consume much of the noise around pregame coverage because I find it fairly useless to have anyone telling me what they think is going to happen in a game I'm about to watch when the expertise doesn't help you in any way be predictive. But the reporters were all using some form of, and Jake Tapper spoke to this when he said, well, the Eagles are going to be extra motivated in this circumstance. Dan Quinn was feeding reporters. Jay Glazer evidently was in the meeting where this was said, but other reporters had the information of Washington's not playing for house money. They're playing for the rent money. That was Dan Quinn's motivational speech before allowing more points than any team has ever allowed in this situation before. And more touchdowns than any team has ever allowed in this situation before. But he was just wandering around, evidently, telling reporters, it's not house money. We're not happy to be here. We're playing so hungry, it's like we're needing to make the rent money. We're desperate. And then,
we have to pay rent.
And then what ends up happening is the Eagles end up putting a knee on your neck, and you just start fighting everybody because you're frustrated.
It was funny. Saquon's first touch, and they shoot. The camera pans over to Dan Quinn. He's like, "I told these guys about him. We spoke about this.
I think every coach probably did that.
We spoke about him.
No 60-yard runs on the first play. No 60-yard touchdown runs where you breaks 3 tackles on the first play. Can we not have that?"
You know what happened to me yesterday, Dan? I think you know because you follow along in our weekly fantasy contest. Go to dkng.co/Smirnoff, presented by Smirnoff, the world's #1 vodka. Please drink responsibly. I took the Commanders defense. Yeah. There's only 4 teams.
What was your thought process?
Well, there's only 4 teams, and you had to kind of save money where you could.
So you saved it there.
So I saved it on defense because I said, you know what? Travis had a big week last week. I'm going to splurge at tight end because his tight end cost is like twice as much as everyone else. But like if you get points at tight end, you get points at tight end. So I was going to spend money there, and I wanted Saquon. I was going to spend money there. I had to save money somewhere, and I did on Commanders defense. And boy, oh boy, was that not the play, Dan? Who'd you go with?
I didn't participate.
Oh, really? Wow.
Next week.
You were regular.
Well, here's the thing. Next week is off, obviously, because it's the Pro Bowl
You can't do single game showdown captain mode?
No games, though.
Yeah,
Well, no,
I mean,
2 weeks from now. Single game
Super
showdown.
Bowl.
Yeah,
I mean,
of
if you
course.
want to be
Yeah.
part of our
Yes,
league,
love that.
join
Yeah.
GBF's weekly contest, dkng.co/Smirnoff, presented by Smirnoff, the world's #1 vodka. Please drink responsibly. Fresh new lineup. I'm not going to pick the Commanders defense again. I can't, even if I wanted to.
I actually understand the pick by you because why would you want to take your chances with a defense against either Josh Allen or Patrick Mahomes? Why would you want to take a chance against a defense against Jaden Daniels? Like you picked the defense to stop the weakest of the quarterbacks that was remaining among the 4. And then you just saw your defense bludgeoned. It's also the weakest defense among the 4, unless you consider Buffalo's weaker than that. But I'm not very impressed with Washington's defense. That's not a championship defense. And Jaden Daniels was going to have to take that team wherever it is that it went. But when you look at the Philadelphia,
Good pick, Philly. Yeah.
When you look at the Philadelphia Eagles, Stugotz.
Yes. They're good.
And thank you. Not excellent analysis by you, but accurate. Yes, they are good. They're playing in the Super Bowl. That tends to usually go to only good teams. That's something that, with few exceptions, you can go ahead and try and name them all if you like. But usually the teams that the Grossman Bears weren't all that good, and you could name a few.
Kerry Collins Giants.
I mean, the Warner Cardinals were 9-7. I think the year that they made the Super Bowl.
Got hot at the right time.
I'm not certain either of the Giants Super Bowl teams were any good. I mean,
Saquon Barkley, though, running the ball when the entire sport has shifted in a different direction, and the idea, Stugotz, like this part to me is interesting, even though I think most people listening to this are rooting against Eagles fans, okay? This sport is something that we love, at least in part, because somehow America thinks of itself as the tough, gritty people who can overcome everything and steal your land violently if they need to. The entire sport is is a celebration of sort of the things America cherishes, grabbing what you want through violence. And I saw a story here I wanted to ask you guys, because being tougher than everyone else in that sport, being stronger, being more physical, being running the ball, even though everyone knows you're going to run the ball, and on the first play you go 60 yards. That style is something that is usually admired. And I was watching Zach Randolph the other day on Paul George's podcast, and Zach Randolph was talking about being a rookie in a locker room that had Ruben Patterson in it. Ruben Patterson was viewed as a bully by others. Zach Randolph fancied himself and was somebody who was not to be trifled with. He was somebody that was feared by others. And Zach Randolph is saying Ruben Patterson comes out of the weight room one time and comes into a locker room where he's known as the bull, and he's like, no one can slam me. Who can slam me? No one can slam me, and nobody wants any part of it. And Zach Randolph finally says, well, I'm tough. I'm from the hood. I can do this. I'll slam you. I'll do this. And then he gets thrown all over the locker room. Ruben Patterson throws him physically on his back, and he can't walk for a week because Zach Randolph is manhandled. The Philadelphia Eagles, we like space age. We like passing. We like touchdowns. We like skill position, wide receivers. Jokic will never get to be Michael Jordan because he doesn't fly through the sky. But the style Philadelphia is playing, isn't that something that not only regionally you're going to have Philadelphia embrace that more than anything, which is not just we're going to beat you, we're going to beat you up.
Yeah.
Our offensive line is going to maul you, and our quarterback doesn't even have to be that good. Like, our quarterback can be an afterthought in the offense as long as he doesn't lose the game.
Eagle fans would rather win the Super Bowl rushing the ball 36 times for 229 yards like they did yesterday than doing it through the air. It represents that team, according to Eagles fans, is very representative of their city and what that city is all about.
You tell me something that feels better as a sports fan in that sport than my team is going to physically make you fight out of frustration because there's nothing left for you to do other than be run over.
I guess having Patrick Mahomes would feel better. But you're right. You're right. They're to our city's identity. They run the ball. They stop the run. They do the basics, the little things, and that's how they get it done.
But it's not even the little things. It's the things that require strength from your 350-pounders above on both sides of the ball.
Yeah.
They're going to ransack you. They're going to have an offensive line that is the best we've seen in football for 5 years running, even when they changed the parts. Like, the thing that was special about the Lions team this year was their offensive line. And this was the year that the Lions offensive line got to be in the conversation with the Philadelphia offensive line. It really is staggering in retrospect that more people that the Giants traded him within the division, and that more people didn't see how seismic an addition that running back would be with that offensive line so that they can mask their quarterback.
But it was so hard to see that. That's why I give the Giants a pass here. It was like the running back position has been so devalued that how could they possibly think giving Saquon to the Eagles would mean the Eagles would go on to a Super Bowl and maybe win it?
I have to make a correction here. They didn't trade him. He was tagged.
Right. You're right.
And then
Forgive
walked.
me. Yes, he signed. But they let him go to the Eagles when they knew it was a threat that he would go to the Eagles. But yes, you're right. He did not get traded. The Giants chose to not have him, and chose to not have him while knowing that he would and could go to Philadelphia.
The worst thing that happened to the Giants and Joe Shane and Brian Daboll is winning that playoff game, because they were almost forced to give Daniel Jones, I know it sounds crazy, but they were forced on the heels of that performance to give Daniel Jones the contract.
They didn't have to, though. They could have given it first to Saquon, and there were problems vocally in that locker room that they didn't give it first to Saquon.
But if the Giants have Saquon, are they any better than they were this year? I mean, maybe a couple of games? Maybe.
Not a lot better. No, he and Derrick Henry went to the perfect teams for them.
Yes,
to go to in order to make themselves be better and make those teams be better. It's a crazy thing to think of. How much time have we spent the last 5 years talking about anybody's running game?
we haven't.
anybody's running game.
No, it's a novel concept.
Like
offensively.
the running game's been replaced by all the 2-second passes, all the bubble screens, all of the
and the quarterback's running.
Get rid of the ball as fast as you can. But when we talk about the 4 best remaining teams in the playoffs, I assume that you would put Baltimore among those. You are talking about 2 of those teams being the teams that play the old-fashioned way in their usage of the running back. I know.
Yeah, San Francisco had a pretty good run.
Even the Bills using James Cook, right? Yeah.
But carried by running game, like where the
last 2 weeks the Bills were carried by the running game.
McCaffrey was AP Offensive Player of the Year.
But we never think of in most backfields, we do not think of the running back being more important than the quarterback. I'm not sure if we think of it in San Francisco either. Maybe
understood. I mean, even while McCaffrey was sacking up AP Offensive Player of the Year honors, remember Brock Purdy was at one point the favorite for NFL MVP in the very same season.
If I say to you, though, in Baltimore's backfield, who do you want? You can only have one of the 2 guys, Derrick Henry or Lamar Jackson. There's only
Lamar.
There's only one. There's only one.
Josh
team
Allen or James Cook
among the best teams. It's Saquon is the one that has behind the quarterback the most important player. Juju, I am so sorry. You must be crushed today. I don't know your state, the Bills. You are a very public Bills fan. You are proud of your team, I'm sure. Who are you mad at? Stugotz is firing McDermott. Mike Ryan is saying drastic change is necessary. Where do you fall on all of this stuff?
Man, I'm not mad at anyone. I think that we dropped the ball around the trade deadline. You know what I'm saying? We were supposed to shore up our defense, our DBs and our cornerbacks. And we did land Amari Cooper. But as you can see last night with Kaiir Elam, he was on an island all night. You feel me? And he's had that reputation with us Bills fans pretty much all year. You know what I mean? When he's out there, Hail Mary. And so I think that's where the game was pretty much lost. I know that, the world would be harping on the line, the judges and stuff like that. But I'm not going to do that. You know what I mean? I think we dropped the ball and we're responsible for getting our act together. Nobody's responsible but us.
Anyone on your team that you want shipped out or change, or what do you want? It can be as simple. We keep running into the same guy and he's difficult to beat. It ain't like a whole lot of people are beating him, but a lot of people are wondering whether the Bills should make some sort of change because they can't get past that team.
I mean, they should make some change and take the defensive side of the ball seriously. Like, we should go after some of those key free agents. Like when Marshawn Lattimore went to Washington, it seemed like an awesome job. It didn't prove so yesterday, but moves like that, make a splash move on defense, I think that will help us shore up the production, because you have to play perfect football against those brothers. And it was a lot. When I saw the schedule line up, Lamar, then Pat, it's like, dang, it's going to be a uphill battle having to play perfect football 2 weeks in a row. And that's why I think it's always good to get that coveted number 1 seed so you can play the Houston Texans and just get the winner of the real battle. You know what I mean?
I walked in after the first couple of hours of the show into the shipping container, and I was like, it's been a ton of sports today, a lot of sports. We've been doing sports, and everyone said it's a good day to do sports. What was the feedback of the audience today? Because we spent basically 6-7 hours the last 24 hours talking about that one game last night.
Yeah, I mean, the people online seem to pretty much love it. You know what I mean? It's pretty much all that was going on outside of politics and some of the tragedies going on around the world. I think this was the most pressing thing to talk about. And the crowd was, the audience did a great job today. It was locked in. It was arguing. Like, a lot of people was like, dang, does Dan know that the Chiefs won the game last night? Because you was pretty much saying that, you know what I mean? A lot of calls went their way, but overall the audience loved it.
Was I Was I negative on the subject of the Chiefs just because I'm not impressed by their skill guys? I'm impressed by their quarterback, and their quarterback is making their skill guys, win no matter what. But they've got a whole bunch of receivers I don't expect to get more than 60 yards in a game.
Yeah, I think you were perfect. That's why sometimes I don't like to read some of these comments, because it's just constructive criticism, but sometimes just some guys are just goofballs in the chat at times. So I think today was wonderful.
It's just not that sexy the day after a big game like that to be like, they're close. But I agree with you. They are close. Like, I don't think they need to make drastic changes. Like a couple bounces here or there, and they're in the Super Bowl.
Right. Like you said, that one play where you saw the referee coming in, he was on the first down side, and this other referee was paid by the Chiefs. It was like, oh, well, you can see if those calls go differently, then of course. But I'm not here to complain about any of that stuff. We got to get better, man. We got to look ourselves in the mirror and say, how do we slay this dragon? Because it hurts. It hurts.
I really would want to hear the mic'd up conversations, like when two officials are running at each other and they have different lines. Like, is like the more veteran official just get like, I'm your rank? Like, sorry, we're going with mine. I don't care where you had it. Or is it just a debate? What if they disagree? What if they're like, no, this is the spot. No, this is the spot. Like, does the ref with the white hat come in and be like, all right, we're gonna meet in the middle here. You guys say here, we're gonna put it here. Like, it's a ridiculous exercise. The more you think about it.
Right. And does the person like? Does one ref say, no, you get a penalty if the clock runs out, the play clock runs out before the 2-minute warning? Or does the other referee comes in and say, no, it's a blended clock. From the meeting we had when we first became refs, we can blend this. Like, it's a lot going on. So I'm not going to focus on the refereeing. I'm just going to focus inward and say we can do a better job.
That is nice of you. It is a good way of looking at it. I just am amused by Josh Allen's legacy being affected because Ed, whose eyesight we don't know about, who has another job as a lawyer, is running as fast as he can to mark a ball incorrectly on the field. And then we're deciding, hey, Josh Allen, forever, we're going to laugh at you as being worse than Patrick Mahomes because Ed didn't get his eyes checked this week and had a bad spot. Actually, he was thinking about something else during that play. He's got some problems at home, and his judgment was impaired because he hasn't been sleeping well. And that's how we're going to decide how Josh Allen gets remembered. I love that I made his name Ed.
Great.
Ed's a good name for somebody who has bad eyesight who is impacting with his judgment Josh Allen's future and legacy.
Do those judges go home after that game and think, oh shit, I was a little too involved with that? Or do they think, this was my Super Bowl and I nailed this?
You think that Ed goes home at night, opens up his fridge whenever it is that he gets home at midnight, and just tells his wife when he closes the fridge, yeah, I just decided the AFC Championship game. And my decision was the reason that people will be yelling about how great Patrick Mahomes is and how great Josh Allen is.
He picks up his phone after the game and he sees a text from Madeline and and had the game go.
Yes.
And it's I had a lot to do with this.
Maddie, I was in the middle of everything, Maddie. Yes. What are the polls that we have to update here, either from today or last week? Any outstanding from last week?
Yes. Well, we have a couple from the day that we pretty much went through all of them last week. And side note, I don't think we ever talked enough about, like, I'm also half of an Eagles fan as well. My cousin, Darius Slay, is going back to the Super Bowl. That's my third cousin. So it's like, I'm not all the way sad, but it's just we were one win away from the Juju Bowl, and that would have been, I would have put up billboards. But neither here nor there. Greatest coach in Eagles history: Andy Reid, Doug Peterson, Dick Vermeil, or Nick Sirianni. And 65% of the audience says Andy Reid.
Billy pointed out that Sirianni's winning percentage is in the 70s and Andy Reid's is about 53%. And I remember them not loving him a whole bunch in Philadelphia when he wasn't winning Super Bowls, being great every year but not winning Super Bowls. Funny to see the revisionist history now that we're looking at the polls. What else you got?
I do think you were right, too. Nick Sirianni, or Stugatz was right. Nick Sirianni is one loss away from being fired by all of us. Neither here nor there either. Were people tougher during Stallone's days? 74% of the audience says yes. 26 says no.
I mean, what are you shaking your head about, Chris?
I mean, that poll, like Sylvester Stallone, like that's always going to come back that way, just because he's a tough guy.
Yes.
But if you hear the sound,
yes,
yeah.
Back.
Do you guys watch Tulsa King?
I saw
Did
like
you guys
the
watch
first
the Tulsa
season.
King?
I saw first season, I believe.
I just discovered Mike was making fun of me because during one of these football games, I saw advertised for the first time somehow the Tulsa King with Sylvester Stallone. And I'm like, I can't believe that this is something we're still doing. How old was he in the last Expendables movie that he was in? Because Stallone is he 80 yet? He's pretty close to 80. So he's really pushing the action guy's limits when he's sitting here talking about AI and your brain being in a pickle jar and whatever else he was talking about there.
76.
Yeah.
2 years ago was the last Expendables. He's 78 now, so he was 76 the last time.
Expendables is the movie I'd be in with
my bad.
With a fat Tom Brady. Expendables is the movie that he's in. What else?
You can see where my brain's at.
What else? Well, I saw you eating pizza. I saw you expanding while shoveling pizza into your face at the start of this segment. What else do you have, Juju?
Does Zach Ertz lead the league and still got it? 82% of the audience says yes, he does.
What are those other 18% doing?
Right. He played amazing yesterday, Zach Ertz. Like, he's a testament to, like, bro, never give up. Remember the Eagles? Like, you know what I mean? Let him go for a while back. He went with the Cardinals and now the Commandos. Like, bro, he still got it.
And it is funny to see some of these tight ends be unguardable because of how good the quarterbacks are at just putting people in the perfect position these days. Do we have anything else that we need to get to?
Yes, sir. Are we still making Marvs? 87% of the audience says, no, we are not making Marvs anymore.
You can't name it. Marvin, maybe, right? There might be some occasional Marvins being made, but are there any Marvs that aren't Marvins? Is that why am I asking you guys this question as if you would have an immediate answer? But if
it is a marvelous.
There might, I guess Marv would be short for marvelous as well. But it's almost, put it on the poll as well, Juju, at Batard Show. Is Marv always short for Marvin? Because I don't think you can be Marv without being a Marvin. Anything else worth noting? Do you have? I'm always enjoying when you come to the trough with takes that no one else has. I don't know you can do that every day or not, but you've been pretty strong lately when you have a take or a rule change that no one else is considering.
Yes, one of the rule changes that I was advocating for, which is being able to review some of these penalties and some of the stuff that's not reviewable. Just why not make those reviewable? I've seen that Shefty put out a tweet that said moving forward, some of those things are going to be reviewable now. So I think that'll progress the game a lot. But outside of that, I'm still having a tough time realizing who's home and who's away in the NBA. That's pretty rough for me, but nothing of note.
You're not mad at the refs today. You're just being positive and you're not blaming anybody, because it is, when you talk about rule changes and how important some of these things are, instant replay allows us to get these things right, and we're not using the technology to its maximum potential in not lining up and putting that football on both downs. Juju, it wasn't just a fourth down. Kincaid, I thought, made the first down with where it should have been spotted on third down right before that.
Yeah, I mean, it's just unfortunately I've had to, like I said, during my brief time off, I went to therapy and I got all of the good juice of therapy. And I know that everything that happens in this world, you just assume it's your fault. That's my New Year's resolution. Everything this year is my fault. So I'm extending that to the Bills. Man, let's get 11 yards for first down. Let's not leave it to the referee's opinion or judgment. We know we're playing Patrick Mahomes at home to go to the Super Bowl. So we got to be kind of overwhelming. So I'm just going to take responsibility for the Bills, man. We got to do it. We got to get better and not leave it in their hands.
Have you ever worn this particular color combination as an outfit before, where you have the Buffalo Bills overalls with the Jalen Hurts jersey backwards? Have you ever put these two together before?
Yes, sir. I got a half and half Buffalo Bills Eagles jersey, and I get rocks thrown at me from Buffalo fans and Eagles fans. So I didn't wear that one today, but I'll be wearing this a lot, and it doesn't go over well. Never.
Good seeing you, Juju. We will talk to you tomorrow, sir.
Yes, sir.
From fireside conversations to football Sundays, winter means more moments with the coolest people in your life. Make these moments even better with Miller Lite, the great-tasting light beer for people who love beer. A new year is a perfect time for friends, family, and a great-tasting light beer. tastes like Miller time. 2024 had its ups, had its downs, had a lot of moments in it. For me, many of those moments, I had a Miller Lite right there by my side. I supplemented my time by making it a Miller time. Why? Well, I'll tell you why. Miller Lite has taste you can depend on. No games, no gimmicks, just a great beer for people who love beer. Miller Lite is brewed for taste. It hits different than other light beers, and it has simple ingredients like malted barley for rich, balanced toffee note flavors and that iconic golden color. The original light beer since 1975 and still the very best one. Miller Lite, great taste, 96 calories. Go to MillerLite.com/Dan to find delivery options near you. Or you can pick up some Miller Lite pretty much anywhere they sell beer. Tastes like Miller time. Celebrate responsibly. Miller Brewing Company, Milwaukee, Wisconsin, 96 calories and 3.2 carbs per 12 ounces.